organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
On this edition of Daily Iowan TV,
craving a new culture, find out about the growing trend of students studying abroad.
And why driving in a campus will begin to look different in the next 3 years.
And in sports, the naming of the new women's volleyball coach.
All that and more next.
Daily Iowan TV is ready to go.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Good evening, I'm Marissa Mahalik.
And I'm Mary LaPleca.
Students started their week with a hawk alert announcing a strong armed robbery at the Old Capitol Mall, but there was no weapon shown. The Iowa City Police Department is currently investigating the case. After this occurrence, there was no timely notice on a reported sexual assault, the fifth of the year, which occurred this morning in Burge Residence Hall. It was posted to Iowa Now, the UI's online news bulletin at 11:03 a.m. and approved by Chuck Green from the UI Police Department at 10:49 a.m. to be sent out to students. But some students didn't receive this alert until later in the afternoon. The victim decided not to press any charges, and the Daily Iowan will continue to bring you further details as we receive them.
The University of Iowa Office of International Programs recently released their 2013 annual report. Officials said they see a growing trend. It seems more students, international students, are choosing to study abroad. In the fall of 2011, 4% of undergraduate students who studied abroad were international students. Studying abroad and studying in America have comparable costs. So one official says international students usually have the means to spend a semester away from the University of Iowa.
Many of the international students are extremely ambitious and adventuresome. They're already, in some cases, thousands of miles away from home. They want to explore the world.
The trend of international students studying abroad is fairly new. Mr. Thomas said he is looking forward to viewing survey data in order to improve the program.
Last month, the Iowa City Council approved design plans for the Gateway project. Upon its completion, the project is intended to improve the effects of flooding by elevating part of Dubuque Street and revamping Park Road Bridge. The project is also focusing on designing a more visually appealing look that people can appreciate as they enter Iowa City. Currently, Dubuque Street floods every time there's more than an inch of rain in an hour and creates a wake and traffic issues. Dubuque Street carries 2,500 cars a day, so city officials say the Gateway project should alleviate some of their stress during floods.
As far as support for the project, we've had a lot of support for it. Obviously, we're moving forward with it. It was our highest priority flood mitigation project. We've had a lot of people asking why we haven't done it yet.
The construction is projected to begin in July of 2015 and take about 2 years to complete.
Much more still coming your way on Daily Iowan TV.
We see how salt helps clear the streets of ice, but how dangerous is it for your pets?
And in sports, a look ahead to the men's basketball clash against the Buckeyes.
But first, we'll hand it off to Laura Gibbs to take a look at this week's weather forecast. Laura?
Thanks, Marissa. Although we had a bit of a break from negative temperatures, the weather has consistently been bitterly cold all winter long. Tomorrow morning, temperatures will be around 13 degrees. The afternoon will warm up a bit to 21 degrees, but there's a 40% chance for snow. In the evening, that 40% will increase to 60% with a high of 20 degrees. Looking into the rest of the week, Wednesday and Thursday will have lows dropping down to the negatives. Friday through Sunday, highs will be in the teens and lows will stick right around 0. Saturday, there's a 40% chance for snow, so if you're planning to have visitors for Dance Marathon, be sure to warn them. Well, that's all I have for weather. Remember, be prepared to dress for snow tomorrow. Back to you guys at the desk right after this.
Iowa SJMC.
Want a major that'll take you somewhere?
SJMC.
Ice melt, we use it almost every day here in Iowa, especially this winter. It keeps the roads and the sidewalks safe for people, but for pets, maybe not. Daily Iowan reporter Rebecca Hager tells us how to keep your pets safe on salty sidewalks.
These days, when it's not snowing, it's raining salt. The little granules transform sidewalks from slick to safe. But for pets, it's gritty, grainy aggravation.
It's definitely a concern.
This is little Ella's first winter, but she knows enough to play away from the pellets.
She just kind of tends to move over to the side, gets off the sidewalk quite a bit and plays in the snow when it's this kind of weather.
But why? The main ingredient in ice melt is sodium chloride.
That's the same stuff you put on your food, and just like salt can dry out your hands.
Ice melt can dry out your puppy's paws.
It will dry out our skin, cause cracking, and then become an irritant.
Ron Solstrid, co-owner of Petland, says it's important to protect those paws. He recommends dog boots.
You can go for everything from the traditional mitten, but you can also get into the fun things where they actually look like little Ugg boots.
Moisturize paws just like you would your hands or feet. You can also pick up pet-friendly ice melts such as Paw Pal.
It works at a temperature lower than salt, and it's safer for your dog than salt is. Salt has that drying effect. This doesn't have that same effect.
And don't be rude. Wipe those paws at the door to get rid of any salt residue. Rebecca Hager, Daily Iowan TV.
Rebecca went ahead and checked out local stores. Petland, Ace Hardware, and Walmart all carry different brands of pet-safe ice melt.
Now we're going to hand it off to Reed Chandler on set for this Monday edition of Political Alert. Reed, what do you have for us?
Issues like marijuana usage and public intox are topics that can get college students interested in local politics. The Johnson County Attorney seat is up for re-election this year, and these issues are at the top of certain candidates' agendas. Our own Stephen Duran helps clear the smoke facing these controversial topics.
The University of Iowa has gathered a reputation over the years that seems to highlight the city's usage of alcohol and marijuana. The use of these substances is something police continuously crack down on throughout Iowa City, but some think these petty charges are something local law enforcement should spend less time on.
I think both those are victimless, and they're really petty charges that it's a very selective number of people who are guilty of those actually get charged.
John Zimmerman is running for Johnson County Attorney later this year and has made his thoughts on these issues quite vocal. At Iowa, almost 15% of students have marijuana or public intox tickets on their records. Enter Zimmerman, these ticket situations are not handled in the proper way.
Now, if somebody gets drunk or high and then commits a real crime, they'll get charged for the real crime. But just to have cops going around looking for, students who are drunk or somebody who has a little bit of weed in their backpack, I think that needs to stop.
In addition to Zimmerman, students around campus also feel these laws are somewhat overemphasized.
I feel like a lot of people go out and do crazy stuff from time to time, but as long as there's no personal harm involved or anything drastic, I don't see where the issue is.
Unlike other local politicians, Zimmerman's past careers have included preaching as a pastor in Iowa, and he feels this aspect will balance out the legal emphasis of his job.
I am inclined to see everybody as a mixed bag. Nobody is as bad as the worst thing they've done, and nobody's as good as the best things about them. We're all mixed, and so seeing everybody involved in the system as people is something that I would bring to it.
Although the election isn't until November, June's Democratic primary will have a large say in who ultimately wins the spot. That's this week's edition of Political Alert. Be sure to tune in next week. Back to you ladies at the desk.
There was a lot of action at Carver Hawkeye Arena this weekend. For that and the latest in men's basketball, let's send it over to Rachel Bedell and Alyssa Bergamini, who are standing by in the Daily Iowan TV sports studio. Guys?
Hi guys, Alyssa Bergamini alongside Rachel Bedell, and welcome to another night in the Daily Iowan TV sports studio.
It was another packed weekend in the sports world, so let's get right to it. We start off tonight with the Seattle Seahawks' impressive 43-8 Super Bowl win over the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson led the Seahawks to victory with 202 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. While Peyton Manning and the Broncos turned the ball over 4 times, Seattle linebacker Malcolm Smith won the Super Bowl MVP award after returning an interception for a touchdown, recovered a fumble, and picked up 10 tackles. If you're bummed out on football season being over, don't worry, Hawkeye football starts in just 207 days.
Elsewhere in Iowa City, the women's volleyball team hired their new head coach. Bon Szymanski was introduced as the new women's volleyball coach on Monday afternoon. The UI alum replaces Sharon Dingman after a second-to-last finish in the Big Ten this year. The new head Hawk is optimistic about building a winning program on and off the court.
The new athletic department building here connected to the arena is symbolic, I think, of the level of excellence that this department expects, that this university expects, and that the Hawkeye Nation expects. And that's what I want too. We want to build a champion. We have a very specific goal, and the team will understand that, and that is to win, to graduate, and to do it right. But we want to do it at the highest level. And the Big Ten affords us that opportunity like no other conference in the country.
We'll stay in Carver Hawkeye Arena, where Super Tuesday looms as Fran McCaffrey and the men's basketball look to take the season sweep against Ohio State in Carver Hawkeye Arena. Head coach Thad Matta spoke at Big Ten Media Day before the season started about how his defensive-minded team will handle the offense.
You know, the dynamics of our offense will be very unselfish play, you know, ball movement, you know, a lot of body movement. We've got length, we've got size, we got different guys that can post. You know, I think that both Amir Williams and Trey McDonald have been a lot more productive down low, which obviously adds strength to our offense. I like the way we're shooting the ball, just in terms of percentage-wise of where we've been in the past, going back, analyzing numbers. Now, obviously, you got to do it when the lights are on. But, Bob, I think guys have appeared to this point to have a different demeanor, different approach in terms of how important shooting is to me and the welfare of this team.
Tune in Wednesday for full highlights and analysis of that one.
And that should be a good game, Rachel. And from the court to the mat, Iowa Wrestling had an impressive performance Friday night against Northwestern, winning the duel 31-6. Cody Goodwin is in our mat side film room, ready to break down what stood out to him in Evanston. Cody?
Thanks, guys. Cody Goodwin here for Daily Iowan TV's Mat Side. Here in the film room, we're going to look at a couple of things from a couple of matches in Iowa's big win over Northwestern last Friday. First, we're going to start off with Tony Ramos, who scored plenty of points in his big win over Northwestern's Dominic Malone at 133 pounds. One of those in particular was actually off of a counter from his opponent. Let's look at the film.
Early in the match, Tony able to get in on a sweep single, brings it up, and what Malone is going to try to do here is scramble his way out of it. By that, he's going to try and flip and come out underneath. Tony's going to counter that scramble. You see it here by jumping up and landing on Malone to kill that scramble altogether. An easy 2 points for Tony.
Now, Tony went on to pin Malone later on in the second period of the match. Another highly contested bout was heavyweight. That is formerly ranked #1 Bobby Telford against another top 5 guy in Northwestern's Mike McMullen. The first time they've met in almost 2 years, and McMullen was able to pull it out in overtime. Let's take a look at that takedown.
Here, McMullen in on a shot is able to get underneath Telford. This is not a good position for Telford. You see his arm wrapped around his waist. He's going to try and throw McMullen to scramble out of it, but what actually happens as it proceeds here, Bobby is thrown to his back. McMullen, with the athleticism and awareness, you'll see it here, is able to wrap around and get two just like that, and in sudden victory, that's the match, folks.
McMullen able to get the win this time, but Bobby will get another chance not too far from now at the Big Ten Championships, and it's shaping up to be a good tournament.
Thanks for that, Cody. For the complete Mapside webisode recapping everything in Iowa wrestling, head to dailyiowan.com.
That's all for tonight's show. Tune in tomorrow for everything you need in black and gold.
Marissa, Mary, back to you guys at the desk.
Only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek in tomorrow's pages of the Daily Iowan.
Read about how a generation of retiring baby boomers are leaving cities without public service employees.
And see how the university is using biomass to reach its 2020 sustainability goals. But before we leave you tonight, we hope everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl, whether it was merely the commercials or entertainment that piqued your interest. Bruno Mars fan or not, we can all agree after his performance during the halftime show last night, he has true talent. And he was the youngest star to ever perform at the halftime show.
It was very entertaining to watch, and I liked how they incorporated the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're my favorite.
Yeah, it was a great combo, and many critics are calling Bruno Mars the modern-day Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. So if you happen to be at the Super Bowl, tweet at DITV News any pictures you snapped during it.
Well, that's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out at the same time tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching, and have a great night.